We will be talking about the NHL's opening week, on Left Bench Sports.
Cave on, did Alex. No, the Dolphins are not frauds.
All right, we gotta restart
again.
Bad this defense has been. I do not trust them against the Dolphins at all.
Milwaukee Bucks joining the finals this year.
Got a whopping 52 fantasy points in Miami's route of Broncos country.
My 80-year-old grandmother could have broken more tackles and probably made more plays than Mahomes if they gave her a helmet and some football pads.
Welcome back to Left Bench Sports.
We'll be talking about the Giants' defeat of the Patriots, the Jets' loss to the Dolphins, college football, and fantasy football.
The Giants won their fourth and second consecutive game against the Patriots.
The final score was 10-7. What were your thoughts on the game, Ryan?
Well, this is the first time this season that the Giants have won consecutive games, which is crazy and also sad at the same time, as Tommy DeVito continues to stun the NFL.
I mean, yeah, Tommy DeVito stepping in as the third-string quarterback for the Giants is pretty surprising, bringing them their final consecutive win.
Yeah,
I mean, it's no showstopper, though, considering they beat the Patriots,
Yeah, I mean, not just with his incredibly stereotypical Jersey Italian family, but
and his
also
gestures.
Yeah, also is with his play on the field. And now let's begin our breakdown of the number side of the game.
Tommy DeVito played another solid, disciplined game with 191 passing yards, 1 touchdown. What were your thoughts about Tommy DeVito's game against the Patriots?
I thought it was solid. It wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't quite as good as he played against the Commanders, but he didn't throw a pick. That's all that for a third-string quarterback to go in there and for 2 straight weeks not throw a pick. I mean, that's pretty big. He's very, very disciplined with the ball. He holds it a little too long. The sack number is still pretty high with 6 sacks, but he definitely is way better than any other third-string quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, I could agree with you on that. He, as the Giants, we know they have a really bad offensive line this season, and along with that, there's a lot of other issues along with them. A lot of younger guys are on their O-line, and plus plenty of other positions. But there was a lot of some shining lights throughout those games with DeVito in. DeVito, yes, you said no picks, and he's averaging about 200 yards, especially with the Commanders game. That was a good one for him. Yep. 200 yards is a QB. Listen, it's nothing crazy, but it's it's about the average gets the job done, and he's doing it.
Yeah, and his 1 touchdown was thrown to Isaiah Hodgins. Made a great play to get in the end zone after the catch, but he definitely was not the best receiver on Sunday for the Giants. That was obviously Jaclin, who had an outstanding game, 5 receptions, 109 yards, and including a 41-yard bomb from Tommy DeVito.
I mean, I could definitely agree with that. Jalen Hyatt was an absolute beast at the game against the Patriots. It was an awesome game to watch, especially with him. He had a lot of great plays throughout the game. I mean, what were your thoughts on his performance?
It's exactly what we want to see from a guy who just got drafted, a rookie. It's more than what we expect, and he's definitely going to have a very bright future with the Giants here.
I could agree with you on that. Jalen Hyatt's a very bright player, and he's got a good future out of him. I mean, the G-Men's defense wasn't also outstanding anyway. They had 3 picks and a humble 2 sacks. I mean, they did pretty decent. What were your thoughts about that?
Yeah, 3 picks, it seems like a lot, but when you're playing Mac Jones, I mean, it's basically like not even having a pick.
It's spoon-fed.
Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones just absolutely awful.
Oh, he's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say he's probably worse than Tommy DeVito when he came out for his first or second game. Yeah, it was awful. Mac Jones is the equivalent of a youth quarterback for like a 4th-grade team.
Yeah, he's playing flag football out there.
Yeah.
Bobby Okereke had one of the picks, a 55-yard pick, leading to a Giants score. And
another good player, Bobby Okereke. He's doing great for the Giants. He's solid. He's doing good. He's just getting the job done for them. That's all you need. But you definitely, especially with the Giants having a lot of weaker spots, we need other guys to step up in the areas that are weak to cover for them. And these guys are starting to get better and work with their system and come together as a team and improve. But it's a little later in the season now at this point to start doing this.
Yeah.
Is he the best middle linebacker in the NFL? Would you say?
I would say he's starting to make some strides and he's looking really good. He's really proving himself. I definitely would say he's top 5 in the NFL now.
The other 2 picks from safety Xavier McKinney and cornerback Deonte Banks.
Yep.
Leading with the charge with the D-line is Jihad Ward with 1.5 sacks, the most on the team. Mac Jones was awful self again. Terrible, as we already discussed. He's like a youth quarterback playing flag football. He's absolute garbage.
Yep. No touchdowns and 2 picks. One of the picks that was thrown was Bailey Zappi, who was called into service after Mac threw the first 2 picks in the second half. So,
yeah,
it was honestly good for the Pats that they lost that game. I mean, they need a guy like Caleb Williams in the draft to try and fix them.
I mean, with both teams, the Giants and the Patriots, both these teams are, either way, if one of them lost the game, it was going to help them anyway, especially with the next year, and they need the draft picks to get a lot of better guys to, fix the holes inside the teams, to patch everything up that they need. So either way, it went well for the team. If either one loses, they're both going to get the picks they need for the next year and would be, helpful to them.
Does Tommy DeVito have any sort of future in the NFL?
I mean, he's got a good image right now. A lot of people seem to like him stepping in as the third-string quarterback for the Giants. He seems to have a good presence on the field, too. He's starting to learn, what, the real NFL experience is like. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, he's not the best we've ever seen, but he's definitely good for a third stringer. I don't really think that, he could have a future as a backup. He could be a serviceable backup for some teams, but he's not nothing crazy from him.
No, he's definitely just he's another guy you need to back you up once your starter gets out. But he's got his little iconic dang sign he's going.
Yeah,
that'll
definitely.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito, he's doing good. He's got his presence going. Good guy.
That'll do it for this week's Giants coverage.
Don't go anywhere, Jesse. We'll be breaking down the Jets game.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the coverage of another Jets loss on Left Bench. So let's get right into it. No one really believed that the Jets were going to beat the Dolphins, so this was kind of a set in stone from the start. Wilson was benched this week, so Boyle took his place, lived up to the Jets' gold standard with 2 picks, one of which Javon Holland took to the house for 6. Other than that, Boyle exceeded expectations, I guess. I mean, he didn't really do as bad as Zach Wilson has in the past, which is really bad, so that's a plus. He went 27 for 38 on completions and had 179 passing yards. So, not really a great game by any means, but definitely not terrible. I think it really just came down to the Dolphins' defense. I mean, from the start, they were on top of the Jets, and they just held them really well. The Jets' offensive line couldn't really block worth anything. Dolphins just ran all over them. That's what you get when you can't get your defense together and make blocks and, make tackles. But, the Jets' defense is known for being okay, I guess. But, this week, aside from the pick 6 that they had, they couldn't really do much. You knew Hill and Waddle were going to run right through him, and with the potential MVP as a quarterback and one of the best receivers in the game, it's, not hard to put the ball in the end zone repeatedly. And, with that, the Jets should have really expected this. With the front office decisions they made this last year, they had nothing else to expect. They gave them Mike White. The Dolphins had Mike McDaniel, which they should have really jumped at him when they saw that he was a opportunity for a coach instead of this moron who just crosses his arms and frowns all the time. They got scammed with their second overall pick, which I guess that wasn't last year, but this year, but the year before that, who turned out to be an absolute disgrace. So, all around the Dolphins just rob and continue to rob the Jets of wins and coaches and whatever else the Jets will leave up for grabs. And going back to Robert Saleh, I think the Jets fan base has really gotten sick of being lied to by him and his staff week after week. That's all they do is they just continue to lie through their teeth to the fan base about having hope in, a quarterback and a team on the field. But, this team hasn't performed since very early on in the season, and that was only for 1, maybe 2, 3 games tops. And I think the fans are done with it. This season's just been a complete flop. And at this point, I doubt Aaron Rodgers is even going to come back. I don't know why you would risk another injury on the only possible hope of fixing your team for next season. But that's pretty much it. Overall, this week was boring. And, not only that, but not only the Jets game, but the entire NFL was pretty horrible and boring. So all we can do is look to next week and the next Jets loss. But that's all I have for you today, so don't go anywhere because Smitty and Jake will be on in just a moment with their weekly discussion on college football.
Welcome back to college football on Left Bench. Rivalry week has just happened, and we have a bunch of exciting games to cover. I think we have to start off Michigan versus Ohio State. Smitty, who'd you have going into it?
I had Michigan going into this game. Jake, who did you have?
I also had Michigan, not by a lot, though. I think I was giving them the slight edge just because both teams have been playing really well. Marvin Harrison's been doing good for Ohio State, but I was definitely giving the slight edge to Michigan.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. They're literally, like you said, they're two great teams in college football, so it was going to be a great game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this year Michigan started off looking good. Blake Corum got the first score of the game, and then J.J. McCarthy threw an amazing pass through two defenders, and it was 14-3, so I don't know, a lot of people were maybe thinking 3 years in a row already, but Kyle McCord didn't look amazing either. He's starting off early with an interception. Also, as I was saying, Blake Corum's a huge part for Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
He was a leader and had another great performance. In the third, definitely Ohio State fans began to gain hope again because got that touchdown to make it a tie game at 17, but that was until Blake Corum.
And then coming back, Blake Corum exploded for a 22-yard touchdown, and then also James Turner knocked down a field goal to make it a 10-point game early in the fourth.
Yeah, Blake Corum's just a beast, as you're talking about. He's a huge part of Michigan's offense, and also he's a leader on and off the field. I don't know if you heard, but he gave away over 600 turkeys to people in the Michigan area over this.
I heard about that. He's like you said, he's a great player on the field, but he's even better off the field.
Yeah, so it's great to see a great player, but also a great leader off the field. Big things for him to come.
Yeah.
So there was still hope in this game for Ohio State. There was a lot of time left, so McCord was able to get it to his main guy, Marvin Harrison, and fifth time that game, he had over 100 yards receiving. Getting doubled, it's really hard to get him the ball, but he was able to get himself in for a score. Michigan was able to hold on to the ball in Ohio State territory until there was about a minute left, and then got that field goal. Ohio State still had a chance, but McCord ended up throwing a pick. So I didn't really like the way McCord played. He was able to turn it up in the middle of the game, but I don't think he's that good. I think if Ohio State had a different quarterback, they could have done better. Who do you think's better, McCarthy or McCord?
I think McCarthy is a better QB. Like, even after you said, like, McCord just didn't have a great game against Michigan, and he hasn't really been playing that well the whole season, really. And McCarthy is just better, and he also has a great running back in the backfield to help him. So I just think overall McCarthy's the better QB.
Yeah, McCord hasn't been doing that bad this season. He had some good games, but I don't really think he's that good. I mean, we saw against Michigan. I think if they had maybe a different quarterback, they might have been able to win that game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Michigan takes this year's game, and they win for the third straight year.
Yeah, Ohio State just can't beat them, pretty much. That's all I like.
Yeah, I mean, it's good after 20 years, though.
Yeah.
All that.
Before that game on Black Friday, we saw Oregon versus Oregon State. This was another dominant win for Oregon, and I have to say, Oregon has been looking pretty good. And to be honest, I think they might be Washington next week.
Yeah, taking this one 31-7. Bo Nix had another amazing game, 367 passing yards, 2 tutties. Yeah, Oregon's been dominant, so Bo Nix has been balling out, and their defense has been letting up any scoring. I think this definitely makes you think about next week's Pac-12 championship. Who do you think is going to win that game?
Like I said, I think Oregon's going to win.
I think Oregon's going to come up with this one.
Especially like how like Penix has been playing. Penix hasn't been good as he was in the earlier season, and Oregon's just been dominant the whole season, really.
Yeah, Penix's been really good all season, but past few weeks he's been kind of slowing down. And also past few weeks, Oregon's been turning it up. I mean, they're beating all the teams that Washington beat, but by like 25 more points.
Yeah.
And they're just doing really good right now. So I think they may be able to come up with this one. And whoever wins this game will for sure make the playoff. Let's just look at the playoff picture. Georgia's number 1. We'll talk about them in a little. Michigan number 2. They should be able to wipe Iowa out this weekend. Florida State's right behind Washington still. They'll stay in the top 4 if they're able to beat Louisville, who, by the way, is not in the playoffs.
Yeah, they sucked last week.
Yeah, losing to Kentucky. But some teams just outside the top 4. You got Oregon, who could easily move into it if they beat Washington. Ohio State, who's kind of unlikely with their recent loss. And then you got Texas, who's pretty unlikely. But Alabama, they need a huge win against Georgia. Speaking about Alabama, the last game we had, the Iron Bowl, Alabama versus Auburn. This one didn't disappoint. Had a crazy ending, rivalry week, so anything could happen.
Yeah.
Alabama was obviously the favorite, but didn't stop Auburn from coming in and trying to win it. First half looked close, back and forth. Auburn still looked good in the second, and by the fourth quarter, it was 24-20. So, yeah, Auburn was looking like they might be able to come up with this. But how do you think they were playing?
I think Auburn was actually playing pretty strong, especially against the number 8th ranked team in the country. But like, as you said, it's rivalry week. Anything can happen. Again, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, Auburn obviously coming out with a lot of hype. They want to beat their rival, but let's talk about that crazy ending.
Going like forward into the fourth quarter, or like the end of the fourth quarter, it was 4th down within 30 yards from the end zone, and Jalen Milroe walks it off with an absolute dime to Isaiah Bond.
Yeah, that's
that was just a great play, don't you think?
Crazy. I mean, Auburn's got to be disappointed because 4th and 30 to the goal line, you can't let that happen. Auburn fans were crying. That's just crazy. Milroe put it in the perfect spot, and Alabama saves their playoff hopes. Let's just look at their chance to make the playoff. So they have Georgia this Saturday. Tough matchup.
They're gonna have to have a miracle if they want to beat Georgia.
I think they could win. Do you think it's gonna be that far?
It's gonna, like you said, it's gonna be a tough matchup, but they're gonna need a miracle.
Yeah, I think they might be able to win this game. I mean, they've been rolling past few weeks.
Yeah.
A long time since Texas. I know everyone thought they wouldn't be as good, but they've been doing really well. Milroe's been able to turn it up. Realistically, if they win, they should be in the playoff because they're knocking out the number 1 team. So a few important games this weekend, and it's definitely going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah. So thanks for watching College Football and Left Bench Sports. We have Myles and Luke talking about fantasy football. Also, tune in to next week. We got some great games to cover.
Welcome to Left Bench Sports. Today we're going to be doing a buy or sell segment of the fantasy football trade deadline. Well, first I'd like to talk about Zach Moss. I mean, with the Jonathan Taylor injury, he's like your prototypical league winner, right? It was Kenneth Walker last year when Rashad Penny went down, and now I think it's going to be Zach Moss. He got 20 points in 4 out of the 5 games when Jonathan Taylor was out earlier this season. I think he's a really underrated running back, and he's obviously got a good O-line running behind Quentin Nelson. I think it's going to be a really good final 4 couple games, and I think he could be just what people need to get back into the fantasy football playoffs.
Yeah, I completely agree. Zach Moss is a great runner. I mean, we saw it earlier in the year. He was great. I think he may have been leading the league in rushing yards. Not 100% sure about that, but I think he was before Taylor got hurt, or before Taylor came back. And Taylor came back. He took over. Moss hasn't seen the ball at all. Now he'll be fresh coming back. He'll be getting a ton of carries again, and he could have some big weeks going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, also Gardner Minshew. He's not the greatest quarterback, but I think he'll check it down enough to where he has some receiving upside. But Luke, who are you looking to sell?
I am looking to sell Jahmyr Gibbs, even though he's been really good the past couple of weeks. I mean, now David Montgomery's coming back. He's getting more and more carries every game, and the Lions didn't look great on Thanksgiving, but I don't think that's going to mean much to them going forward. But yeah, Gibbs is a good runner. But with Montgomery coming back, Montgomery was their lead runner before he got hurt, and he's going to take a lot of those touches. And Gibbs, I don't think he's going to get the fantasy upside anymore like he's been getting the past couple weeks.
Yeah, I watch them every week, and I see like Gibbs. As soon as Montgomery came back, it's like his touches have been going down, his receiving work's been going down. But I think also they're going to try and incorporate Jamison Williams more into the offense, and I think that's just going to be a little too much for Jahmyr Gibbs to overcome. I think he'll get like solid 9 or 10 points every week, but it's not going to be much. It'll be like what it was earlier in the season. He's going to get a couple catches, a couple good runs, but mainly it's going to be Montgomery. And the biggest thing is that obviously Montgomery is going to take up all the red zone work, and it's not going to be a great experience for Jahmyr Gibbs fantasy owners.
Yeah, I completely agree. But one more player I want to buy would be Zay Flowers. A great receiver, rookie receiver, has a ton of talent, really fast, explosive, makes big plays all the time. And, Mark Andrews just got hurt, who I think was their leading receiver, but now that's going to be Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is going to get a lot more targets from Lamar Jackson, and he just gets big plays all the time. I think he had 2 touchdowns in the last game, and every time he gets the ball, it feels like he can make something big happen.
Yeah, he's one of those players, as you said, every time he gets the ball, you think he's going to break free for like a 20-yard gain. But I just see more opportunities coming with him for the Andrews injury. He's out for the season is what it looks like, and that just screams like Zay Flowers, more opportunities. You look around the Ravens receiver room, you really don't get that much. OBJ, he's been like questionable in every game this season. Nelson Aguilar, he like can't catch anything is what it seems like. He's been doing that to me for 3 years now. But it's just, I think it's going to be so much fun to watch Zay Flowers play. They're going to get him involved in the screen game more with the wide receiver screen. They're getting him in like end arounds. He'll be running a lot of deep routes. I think Lamar is going to try and air it out now more because he doesn't have that underneath target that he had with Andrews. And obviously the offensive coordinator change, we knew about this from the start of the season. The former Georgia offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, now he's the offensive coordinator, and he loves passing. That's his thing, spread the ball around, and I think it's going to be a solid end of the season for Zay Flowers. We could potentially be seeing like 5 or 6 catches each game. He's probably going to be Lamar's favorite red zone target, definitely over the middle. But another rookie wide receiver I'd actually want to sell is Jordan Addison. You could sell him now, really, for the price of a high-end wide receiver, too.
He's been getting 20 points every week, which is really good. So.
Yeah. He, as I said, a wide receiver, too, but with Jefferson coming back, I think he's going to be the wide receiver 3 on that team, really. Joshua Dobbs, I know we all love him, but he didn't have that great of a week last week. With Hawkinson, he's taking all the underneath stuff, and then Jefferson, he's obviously Justin Jefferson taking 10 or 11 catches per game. But Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. Dobbs, he loves throwing it to Hawkinson. Really all tight ends in general. Even at Arizona, he was throwing it to the tight ends a lot. So Hawkinson's going to continue his work. And then it seems like Jefferson is going to come in and be the best receiver in football again, like he was earlier in the year and pretty much all of last year.
Yeah, it's very concerning.
He's going to get the number 1 targets. So then Addison, I don't know where he goes. He's going to be like their 3rd option. But you could sell him pretty high right now. He's been getting a lot of points the last couple of weeks. So I think that would be a good option is just sell him, see what you could get another good receiver, because I don't think he's getting these touches for the rest of the season, really.
Yeah, the thing that's most concerning to me is Joshua Dobbs even going to be able to sustain throwing to Jefferson and Hawkinson, let alone throwing now to Jordan Addison, Jefferson, and Hawkinson. And on top of that, they're going to try and run the ball a little bit. So I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a good finish to the season for Jordan Addison. Well, thanks for watching, as that's all for Left Bench Sports this week.